Okay, so I wanted to do a little video on one of the major components for the pinball machine project. So people have been asking me for the Arduino code because they're wanting to build their own pinball machine. Well, the problem is I'm not using a Arduino or a Raspberry or any kind of microprocessor unit, not even a modified laptop shoved in the back of the cabinet, as I've seen on some. Mine is pretty much meant to be an old school EM pinball machine design. Now, with that being said, I don't have the means to make true reproductions of some of the parts on your old EM school pinball machines, so I'm having to kind of reinvent the wheel. So mine is still all mechanical relay logic, and this is one of the timing wheels that my system uses. Same idea is what you see on the other pinball machines. Most of them have like one big set of timing wheels. Mine's got, I think I'm up to 5 individual sets. They'll operate independently for the most part. So I should have one of the little notches. So I'm using standard micro switches. The ones I use have the little wheel on the end, so they roll across stuff more easily. I'll show you one of those here in a little bit. But I have little fillers that go into these gaps here. Every one of these gaps here lets the switch drop in there, and when it drops in there, then it closes the contacts, making the circuit. So switch drops in there, system comes on. When the switch is up above and just rolling across the top, the switch is off, so, well, nothing happens. So on these different sets of timing wheel units, I have different amounts of these discs, a couple different styles too. And then all the components are 3D printed, minus the metal parts. Little gearbox reduction motor unit. Let's see, this one is 10 RPM, 12 volts. I got some that are 30 RPM, 40. Certain systems have to be snappier than others. And I deal with 3D printers, so I'm using a 3D printer cup-link. This is a flex cup-link. You can use a rigid too. I'm just using it to go from the shaft of the motor to a 5/16 threaded all rod. Whole lot of nuts, washers, all 5/16. The timing wheels have the appropriate size hole, which then 5/16 nut is pressed in there. Pressed, or you can use a wood block with a hammer, put it on a firm surface, and a couple good whacks. As long as you got the tolerances right, it slips right in there. But as I found on earlier ones, if I had the tolerances too tight, well, I would end up cracking out this whole middle piece, and a hour print would then go to the scrapper. Now on this particular unit, let's see, get that out of the way. This one will have to do with 1-player to 2-player mode, and also knowing when you drop in your token. On my pinball machine, because what it's being made for and the attended event or events it's going to, it's kind of a post-apocalyptic event, and it borrows a lot of things out of different doomsday movies, video games, all that. So one of the big things of currency in there is, well, bottle caps. So my group, we have a little arcade post-apocalyptic thing we do, and I decided I wanted to bring a pinball machine that will go with that theme when it's done. But to use the currency that everybody uses, it's being designed to where when you would drop in your token, let's get a little closer here. When you would drop in your token and it goes down the little slide, it will drop into one of these wheels here, which is of course designed to hold a brand new bottle cap, not a crushed one. And when you would, there's a 1-player and a 2-player. when you drop in your bottle caps, if you and your buddy are going to play but want to do individual scores, drop your bottle caps in, then there'll be a little red power button you push that jump starts the system. The mechanics here, the motor will get activated, and the motor is on its own relay, a couple sets of switches that are on its own wheel, and every time that switch hits one of these bumps here, that tells the motor to stop. And then there'll be another trigger that interrupts this circuit, actually completes the circuit, and then tells the motor to turn again to the next notch. So not all these spaces here will be empty. There might only be like 3 empty spaces when that's actually in use. But when the whole system starts turning, there will be a micro switch that rides in this channel here and rides over the top and will detect that bottle cap in there. So the bottle cap in the hole is like what's going on with these. So micro switch goes over, drops in there, it knows what's going on. If it just glides over, well, it just glides over. Same thing going on with the cap. And then eventually, as this thing would turn, eventually the cap will fall into a drawer with other tokens. Don't roll off. And let's see, you got the motor unit that'll be on the end. I still have to cut the rod to fit. It's very important that you use Loctite to lock down all the nuts, otherwise they'll slip on you. Your timing gets messed up. The magic smoke comes out. Ask me how I know. Let's see, there's another support unit that goes over here that has a bearing in it, ball bearing. Otherwise the whole thing gets all wonky. There's a steel bar that goes across that holds 3D printed adapters that hold some micro switches on every one of these. There'll be more on this when it's finished. Let me take you over, show you some of the other units. Okay, so we're over here to the main cabinet body. System is fully functional. I'm still adding stuff to it, but I could essentially fire it up right now and play a game. Me and some friends have. So you might have already noticed the battery packs there. I'm using, since this is intended to be a portable system, for as funny as that's going to be, to transport this, but it's intended to be a portable system, so it's designed to run off of battery power. So I'm using 2 18-volt Ryobi battery packs. I'm using the 6 amp. I would use the 9 amps, but I don't have any of those right now. I'm actually looking into building my own battery pack for this, so might be upgrading. So right now the system's not power up. You got 3 of the timing units that are down here and the main cabinet body. The 4th one will actually be over here on the back of the change door. Still have to build all that. You just saw part of it. Chimes box. Relay bank. So when the system is powered up in standby, I tried to make it to where when it's not in an active game, it uses as little power as possible. So when it's in standby, waiting for somebody to start the game, there'll be a couple power lights that'll be on, just a couple LEDs. I might put a timer system in it to kind of bring it to life, maybe get your attention, and then it'll go into power save mode again. I still have to build that, so we'll see what happens there. Currently there's over 30 relays, double pull, double throw, 12-volt relays. Not to break the bank, ordered them from China. If you look around on eBay, you can actually find really good deals. Quality is actually pretty good. I wouldn't necessarily use them for commercial purposes, but for this, they've been holding up and doing the job just fine. You might have already noticed some of the wiring going on. Yeah, let me show you some of the upper action. I am using some real pinball machine components because trying to manufacture everything is a pain in the ass. And to get good working quality stuff sometimes it's better just to buy the already made item just for cost alone. So I do have a couple actual pinball machine flipper units. These are out of a Bailey. I forget what machine the guy said they were out of. I bought them as a lot. There was like 3 of them. Only 2 of them were good for parts. Well, 2 of them were good. Third one pretty much is for parts. Things. They're a 50-volt system, so the 2 18-volt battery packs, it's working out. As you can see, a lot of 3D printed components. All my drop target units are 3D printed. Let's see, there's 4 main sets of drop down targets. 3 of them are 3. The main big boy over here has got 6 in it. If you decide to do one of these, I recommend doing sets of 3, maybe 4. Don't do a 6. It's a little glitchy, but after some work, I got it straightened out. Let's see. Using 3 Bailey pinball ball popper tower targets. I forget the correct name. I'm sure somebody will correct me. Once again, that was an item that I tried to make my own, but trying to make all the components at home, even sourcing some of it, was just not worth the headache. I couldn't get good, clean, snappy results. So, yeah, you decide to build a homemade one along with the flippers. When it comes to the ball poppers, if you're going to have any, I recommend just buying real ones for a pinball machine, new or used. If you do your research, you can get good used stuff that, for home use like this, it still has plenty of life in it. If you were sticking this in an actual environment where it was going to get used for hours, days, and weeks and months, you'd want to use all new components. Then I have another set of drop-down targets down here. The theme of my pinball machine, since it's going to a post-apocalyptic event, it's actually Wasteland Weekend. So I have what's supposed to be Thunderdome. I still have to build the dome, but I have what are supposed to be the 3 boss targets that pop up. And with this one, I actually have an additional component that helps to reset them. So at the end of every game, the whole system shuts down, but then when it powers up for a new game, those drop targets actually get pulled down if they're still up, instead of pushed back up. When you're playing a game and you activate Thunderdome, the 3 targets get popped up like a normal set of drop targets, and same normal rules, but for every new game they have to get pulled down if they're still up, which happens quite often. Let's see, a whole lot of plugs. A lot of the plugs are just labeled with letters. Some of them actually say what they go to. Like this one goes to the bounty box. There's actually 2 sets of those. So as you're knocking down the drop targets, So as you're knocking down the drop targets, since it's supposed to be a bounty hunt game, since you're in the wasteland, with the drop targets, every time you knock one down, a light on a bounty box comes up. And that's just that way you know how many bounties you've collected during the game. You get a certain score, so many bounties, different things on the pinball machine do happen. Right now, just the score is working. The bounty box does light up, does what it's supposed to, but nothing magical happens when you get a certain amount of bounties yet. So I'm going to take you to the back of this nightmare and show you the back box and the score wheels. Sorry about that. Forgot. I was going to show you the timer reset wheels over here. So for the score wheels, this reset wheel unit over here is specifically for the score wheels to take care of resetting them for every new game. Same set for 1 player and 2 player. this set of timing wheels over here, this is the main set that comes on, tells everything what to do. So when this one comes on, once again goes to one of these notches over here that's emptied out. It will actually tell this one to come on and to reset the wheels, and also tells this one to reset and pretty much go in standby. So mine is designed to be a 4-ball system, so 4 balls, 4 chances to play, and every time you lose a turn, this system over here, after it's already activated, turns over to its next notch, which then will tell this one to do something if that has come to be the case. I'll have to do a video showing the system actually working. Actually, you know what? We could do that right now. Let's see. Yeah. So right now, system's active. You heard a bunch of rattling going on. So, got the override over here. So, going to pretty much use the override here, which will simulate if you lost a turn and you're going on to like your second life, I guess you could say. Also, that says square wheels there will turn and activate certain things depending on the sequence of events that happen. So. Yeah. So since nothing happened on the playfield activating certain things, used up all 4 lives, the whole system just went now into standby, and this timing wheel unit over here reset back into its original start position. It was activated again. Yeah. Alright, now let's take you to the back. So this is the back of the back box, where the score wheels are and some of the other action is. Now I do have some components in here that you would not find on a real EM style pinball machine, but once again I can't manufacture at home some of the style components I used. Now at this point you're probably wondering, well, why didn't you just buy the stuff off of eBay? Where would be the fun in that? Plus, I prefer to make stuff from the ground up. I would have made my own score wheels, but wouldn't have looked as cool. Might still try at a later point. So, each one of these units here is actually tied into one of the score wheels. So, when you get points on the playfield, one of the relays is activated. This bank of relays here are in groups of 4. Master reset, main firing relays. So these ones are activated every time you get a point. Then it tells the score wheel here to roll over a digit. And it's just as simple as a solenoid coil energizing. It pulls a steel rod, which activates a whole mechanical action. When the relay rolls over, now it's very important, you have to have a whole other set of components, which normally is wired in through the many sets of contacts that are on the score wheels. And this, on the other systems, it would, through the contacts and through different components, it knows when to roll over. And what I mean by roll over is when you get to the 9th digit on the wheel and it goes to 0, it has to tell the next score wheel next to it to roll over a digit, so that way you're able to accumulate those points. Otherwise, you would just always go to 9 and then hit 0 again. Well, in this case, when you go to the 9 and hit 0 again, tells the next one to roll over, but at that point, instead of really going to 0, you're actually landing on a 1. So you get, 10, 11, 12, 1,000, 5,000, as you work your way up through. Let's see. Very important to have fuses on this system. I have 2 sets of fuses. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can get one of these to activate. Okay, let's see. There we go. So some of the mechanics I have back here, let's see. This unit here actually has to do with distinguishing 1 player and 2 player. For me, on my electrical system here, I had to have a very clean break between the first set of score wheels and the second set. So 1 player, 2 player. Relays up here, these have to do for 1 player and 2 player. Right now, it's on 1 player, which is just basically the first set. When the bottle cap mechanism that you saw earlier is up and working, and it knows that it's going to be a 2 player and it rolls over, it will actually tell this unit here to activate, rotate the disc about 25 degrees, one of these notches get activated, the other one turns off, so this relay here turns off, goes to this relay energizes, which turns this system on, while this one here is turned off. Otherwise, if they're too interconnected, the grim ones come out. This funny looking unit here is a long ways from being finished. I might just end up ripping it out. It's supposed to be set up eventually to handle when you get into the really high scores, so if you hit like 100,000, so every time it would go to a new set of contacts here, or switches, so right now it'd be the off, so 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. I have personally got this thing up to 200,000 plus. That was a really good game. Don't know how I did it. Let's see. Yeah, let's pause again. Okay, so now it's time to show you a little bit of the playfield here. So, obviously no artwork, no little decorations. Where's my pointing stick? Yeah, there we go. I still have to figure out my artwork for the back glass, which accommodates the score wheels, the bounty box, also the count unit, that here 4 lives basically. So let's see, we got 3 sets of slingshots, 1, 2, 3 over there, 3 of the ball popper towers, prototyping my top cover for the one. Let's see, our slingshots. I actually need, not our slingshots, the flippers. I need to readjust these because I put in a different set of flippers and my gap here is a little on the big side. I need to bring it in about a ½ inch. Let's see, drop targets. Over there is supposed to be Thunderdome eventually. The 3 bosses. So let me take care of knocking these down, and then I'll show you the system resetting. Yeah, don't even worry about that one. So when the system resets, you'll see drop targets coming back up out of the field. You'll see lights on. Let's see. Yeah. So let me get. No. Yep. Let's see, where's the switch? So let me show you what happens when the ball drains. So you'll see a tough set of lights. Yeah. So lost another life, so you're down to 2. See if we can get the Thunderdome to pop up. Let's see, get where you see both here. Yeah. So you get up to the right score, the boss targets pop up, lights on them come up. That's how you know they're active. Now, unlike with Thunderdome and Mad Max, or even Thunderdome at Wasteland, I don't have a way of having, you know, the characters themselves moving around in a circle, so I had to kind of reinvent the wheel here a little. So to get the circular motion that kind of goes on Thunderdome, I said, well, why not just have the base of Thunderdome move? It does make a little difference when the ball hits there, but it's more of kind of a visual thing. I might put some little interference pieces here, so when this interference piece comes along here, if you don't time it right, your ball will just bounce off of it. Yeah. Let's see. Drop targets. Well, not drop targets, the ball poppers. Let's see. Let's see. And then, like I was telling you earlier about the boss targets and the bounty hunt board. So every time one of these guys get knocked down, your bounty box lights up, letting you know you got your bounty. And then the last 3 are the main bosses. Hope it's not getting too bright here for you. Yeah. Now you might have noticed that some of these, when they get hit, you don't hear the chime box. Certain value, higher value ones, I only have a 3 chime box. I actually need a 4. So, yeah. I have to modify that still. I never did show you the chime box. Oh well. Maybe another video. And of course, I am using an actual pinball shooter. Oh. That was unfortunate. Yeah. So, when you run out of lives, the whole system shuts down. Whatever the last score is stays on there. That won't go away till the system resets. And this is a full-size pinball machine. It's not what you would call a wide body. I forget what the measurements were I used, but if you've seen a normal size pinball machine, this is going to be pretty darn close. So, If you got any questions, feel free to answer. If you actually set through this, what looks like a 30-minute video, hats off to you. Goodbye.